back. So we know social media is constantly evolving. It's never static, and so many changes have also happened in 2025. And we're also going to be expecting the very same as we go into the year of 2026, perhaps even beyond. So from courtrooms to culture, politics to pop culture, the year has already delivered stories that dominated timelines, sparked debate, shaped national conversations, which continue. So this morning, we're actually going to take a look at some of those moments that trended, that mattered, and also moved South Africans. So for this, we're actually going to be joined by SABC News Digital senior producer Busi Radebe. On that note, good morning.
Good morning,
Welcome. You're always fastest fingers first behind the scenes, but you monitor everything. So Busi, I mean, what a year 2025 has been. I feel like we say this about every year, but I mean, we've seen what's unfolded in our country alone. Perhaps you can give us an overview of what happened for 2025, what the online usage also looked like.
Good morning, Lizelle, and to the viewers. You're correct. So 2025 has been a very hectic year, especially on the socials. We saw, reputational battles, trials online, how narratives were shaped by users because of so much that has been happening. Yes, we do say it's been a lot every year, but this year it's been very, very busy on the socials.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to your point, it's covered all areas, right? Politics, current affairs, news, there's sports as well.
Yes.
Let's go into arguably one of the big stories that happened, and that was when Nkosazana obviously had that press conference and exposed some damning revelations. We saw a commission of inquiry come out as a result, the ad hoc committee as well. Still more questions as we look at the intricate system that was unearthed and really wait from here for the sovereignty of our country. What did that moment symbolize? How was it also covered on social media?
So when the KZN, Police Commissioner Nkosazana spoke in July, revealing the damning allegations. People were like, finally, someone is standing up to corruption. And you saw users saying that they've been waiting for such a moment where corruption will be unraveled. And then that led to, obviously, the police commissioner, police minister, Senzo Mchunu, being placed on special leave. Yeah. And then this commission of inquiry, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, being established. And people were glued to it. Even the numbers on YouTube, the live streams, people watching it, and people... You could see on social media people connecting the dots, saying, oh, okay, then this will lead to the political killing task team. This will lead to this and this. And they were saying, the first day when Nkosazana was speaking, they were even, Peggy Khaled started trending because people said they wanted answers as well because he's a previous police minister. Yeah. And then Natim Tetwa trended, and then so forth and so forth. So
Kat Matlala as well.
And then the Tembisa hospital came into light. So people were connecting the dots and saying, now what will happen with this commission? Great, the allegations are coming out, people must account, and what will happen?
Yeah, I mean, we're waiting for 2026 to come, whether more evidence leaders are going to come forth or some are going to come back to answer to some of those questions that just remain unanswered. Judge Salvin Benenge was another individual who was one of the most searched individuals for 2025. Tell us a little bit more. There was that sexual harassment case, the allegations that came to the fore.
Yes.
The use of emojis as well. We will never look at emojis the same.
Correct, Lizelle. So what happened is it was a misconduct investigation into the Judge Selby Benenge, issued by the court secretary. She was alleging sexual harassment by the judge. So the conversations that came about from that was sexual harassment in the workplace. What is correct and what is not correct? What kind of messages can people send to each other as colleagues, more especially a senior to a junior? So, there were questions about maybe there was abuse from him being the senior towards the junior. And then, of course, the emojis, that exploded when the emojis were mentioned and what else transpired through those conversations and those texts that the judge and the court secretary had.
Yeah, and the translations that came through. I mean, it really also opened a lot of questions that came, and we're obviously also waiting to see what emerges from there. G20.
G20.
G20, G20. Some people didn't know what it was. We had to educate them.
Yes.
Some people still questioning, where is G20? Because it seemed like things started to work again,
Yes.
you know, once leaders came through. But obviously on a grander scale, the global geopolitical landscape that had been shifting, South Africa handing over the presidency as well to the USA. We also know what's unfolding there currently as they continue with their working groups. What can you reflect on that front?
So with the G20, there was mixed reactions. There was excitement that it's the first time that such a big summit is being hosted in the African continent alone. And people are saying that, you know, the youth must take note that this is where policies take shape. This is where, you know, decisions are made and how they are made. People are also talking about, you know, there was a heavy police presence, and they were saying, you know, this is exciting that we can see so much police visibility, but they were hoping that it remains the same even after the G20 Leaders Summit. And then also the G20, apparently now it's the most used word for the year in South Africa, G20. So yes, people were posting, you know, and also when the leaders were landing into South Africa, because we had the rolling coverage as SABC. Yeah. People were excited to see that and how they were being welcomed, especially the Indian Prime Minister, Modi. He was a hit.
Oh, on social media. He looked like he had the best time.
He was even posting, and he was also, you know, sharing what his experience in South Africa, including the French President, Emmanuel Macron. They were busy on social media, you know, showcasing the country. So it was wonderful and exciting. And then obviously on the first day, you know, the declaration was adopted without the United States. You see, the United States was trending because they didn't come to the summit, but because obviously the US president said that South Africa, you know, there's a genocide towards the Afrikaners. And then we saw the Afrikaner refugees that also trended because some Afrikaner refugees went into the US.
Well, I mean, allegedly bad things are happening in South Africa, and it's
Yes.
just a narrative they continue to perpetuate based on false allegations. But I mean, obviously from politics or geopolitics, there's also a lot that happened on the judicial side. We look at issues of justice and court cases as well.
Yes.
Let's look at that landmark Constitutional Court ruling. Obviously for existing 4 months of maternal leave is now extended and granted over to fathers as well. So obviously equity, equality, as that challenge was taken to the Constitutional Court and ultimately won.
So some court rulings were exciting because the rulings would affect people on their day-to-day life, like the maternal and paternal leave.
Yeah.
Before fathers or paternal leave was 10 days, so now the court ruling said 4 months, and it can be shared between the mother and the father. It also extends to people who adopt children. So it's not just, you know, you have to give birth at the hospital, then get the leave. So that was exciting. Questions were raised, obviously, that how would it work? But obviously then whoever is an expectant father, expectant mother will speak to the respective company and let them know that, you know, they're going to be having children soon, and it would be worked out between the two parents.
Yes, it was a landmark court ruling indeed. And so to your point, I mean, that was a success in some regards for many. But there were also some cases that raised a lot of hairs. People still questioning the outcome. Alleged evangelical pastor Timothy Motosho. I mean, he obviously, after 8 years, was acquitted, sent back to Nigeria. Yeah. I mean, there was just pictures of him preaching the other day on social media in a gold robe, and really looked like life had continued for him. But talk to us a little bit more about the rage that was sparked on that front, and given how, you know, evidence was also handled.
Yes, so with the Omotoso case, there was mixed reaction. Obviously, there were those who were siding with him and saying, you know, wonderful, their prayers have been answered. But there were people who were really upset that, you know, it's a miscarriage of justice. That what about these poor, brave young women and girls who testified, you know, during the court case? Even Cheryl Zondi trended because she was one of the, you know, core witnesses at this court case, and she was seen crying when the judgment was delivered about the acquittal for Omotoso and his co-accused. So there was mixed reaction, and they were saying that, you know, justice hasn't prevailed, and what happens after this?
Well, that brought the criminal justice system at large into the fore. So given what happened with the commissions and also some of these court cases as well. We also saw, let's go 50-50. We saw the landmark there for Enhle Mbali Mloja. She got 50% of the assets. That divorce settlement from DJ Black Coffee, Nkosi Nati Maphumulo. This obviously is where customary marriage was declared valid for that community of property. Tell us a little bit more about what precedents that also set now going forward.
So going forward now, people now understand that if you get the customary marriage done before the ANC or the anti-nuptial contract or agreement, then it automatically becomes community in property when you're married. So because DJ Black Coffee and Enhle had signed an ANC after the customary marriage was concluded, it was considered invalid, and the marriage was actually in community of property. So there were debates about, so now when I lobola, it means, I'm done for, it's in community of property. So people were just looking at different various ways of, securing the bag and also securing, their property and rights, because in community of property means you share everything, debts, loans, as well as the money that is made.
No, absolutely. And so, it's going to be interesting to see what precedents that set and what other cases come as a result there and how people speak up as well.
Yes.
A scourge that continues in our country, GBVF. We saw the march, not in my name, obviously donning purple. We saw promises being made, declarations being adopted, sentiments being said. That scourge continues beyond the 16 days of activism that was highlighted again from November to December. Tell us a little bit more about the successes, but also the gaps that remain on the legal front, policy-wise, and just the social fabric that exists in our country.
So, Lizelle, with the GBVF, we saw, yes, the Women for Change marching. Everyone on social media, not everyone, but most people on social media changing their profile pictures to purple. In solidarity with Women for Change and what they stand for. GBVF seems it's still a big problem. The president even said it's a a national crisis. But obviously, what you just said, people are asking, okay, it's a national crisis, but what can be done? What should be done? What policies should be in place? What can be done at police stations? Because some reports that they don't get the attention that they need from police, and they don't get the protection that they need, because some people get protection orders but still be killed or still experience the, the GBV. So it's a very sensitive topic, because a lot of lives have been lost to GBF.
And continue to be lost.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're obviously looking at what remedies are going to exist on that front, from talk shop to implementation as well. There is the fund that's also been allocated, so how that's responsibly managed for people who need it is something that also needs to be monitored. Lots happening that's not bringing safety to the fore. So that's the scourge of GBVF, but also in our society, we saw the impact this has also had on children at large.
Yes.
There have been some worrisome, heartbreaking, brutal child cases. Jocelyn Smith, one that comes to the fore. We saw the conviction of the three, including her mother. We still don't know her whereabouts.
Yes. That's what users are saying, that, look, yes, they convicted, but where is the child? What happened to the child? There's no closure in that sense. We saw, Jaden Lee Meek also, and the mother also being accused of his murder. And, we saw people talking about what strong measures should be in place for child safety, as well as online child safety, because there have been cases of, children pornography, people found with material, and they're also undergoing trial. So that also was raised in the G20 Social Summit, where it was a very big discussion on child safety and child online safety, and what to do to mitigate factors to keep children safe from society, their families sometimes, the churches sometimes, even in schools sometimes.
Even families. And just to your point, there's misinformation, there's disinformation that we have to safeguard against. People need to also learn about digital literacy in this age, because we also see how that's playing out. And yes, it's affecting the most vulnerable as well. With social media being used, is it raising more awareness, or is it amplifying anxiety?
I would say that it's both.
Okay.
Yeah, because in raising the awareness, it will amplify anxiety, because when people raise awareness, more and more cases come out, because not everything is reported by the traditional media. Not everything is seen. Yes. So when people start coming out, it goes back to that Me Too movement. Yeah. When people started saying Me Too, I've also been experiencing 1, 2, 3. So it does raise awareness, and it does amplify anxiety. But it does have a platform to come up with solutions, okay, and in which ways people, can safeguard themselves and their communities.
Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom, yeah, and obviously we have to look at new ways of then approaching this to ensure that rights are upheld. If we backtrack a little bit, Katie Molefe was a businessman, also accused of multiple murders there, yes, granted bail. So that was also another court case that, came to the fore, and then obviously in relation to the witness D, also been killed. Yes. For he was part of the Madlanga Commission. Still obviously looking at justice on that front there. What did that also reflect about the dynamics in our country? So people were now saying, this is terrifying for whistleblowers, that they're not really protected. What happens? Because then they even went to Babita Tokaran, who was a whistleblower for the Tembisa, hospital issue. So people were saying, there's no justice. It seems there's no justice. Then they raised Senzo Meyiwa murder, because he also was shot and killed, and the case is still ongoing, and people are saying we're not seeing light of day, like what's going to happen with this. And then it also raised the DJ Warris shooting as well. That people are just being killed senselessly, and what's going to happen with the justice system? How are they going to intervene? Are the right people going to account? Are the right people going to be booked and actually face conviction? Yeah, and respect for law and order, right? As part of the protection of our sovereignty as a nation as well. So we also have to see what the government does on that front, because local government elections are also coming through. Yes. And those dynamics, given the GNU, it's also going to be interesting to see the policies playing out in real time. Shebe Mabona, yes, he was not granted bail. So he had a string of performances obviously lined up for December, and that was part of his the reasons that he gave forth perhaps to be granted bail. But we obviously saw the reactions from his fans as well, and yes, how other people and artists are still keeping his name alive by showcasing the signs, and obviously what transpired. But talk to us about the allegations he's facing, and that court case in particular as well. So his fans are sad, and they're saying they want justice for Sheba Shakes. But there are people who are saying, this is the time that he has to pay for his sins. Because, there was a time he was in a car accident that involved his daughter, and he was driving, but he wasn't convicted. And now he's facing many charges, and people are saying he needs to account, and that it's good that he is behind bars and that his concerts are cancelled. People must see how serious this issue is and how serious the charges that he is facing. Yeah, absolutely. So that was an entertainment story that obviously came to the fore there. It wasn't all doom and gloom. So on a lighter note, we saw some amazing feats on the sporting front. There was cricket action, there was rugby action, there was Tyler as well, occupying the most solo song entries on the US Billboard. That's the first in a while for South Africa, following Miriam Makeba. That's an amazing feat. Tyler is just, she's going from... she's a comet. She's just blazing through the universe. She's doing so well. We are proud of her. And obviously, she sparks debates with Americans, but we are happy for her. She's doing a lot of concerts. Recently, she was in Saudi Arabia, she was in the Philippines, so she's very busy. She's a busy girl. And then in the sporting front, yes, we saw so many good things with rugby, the Springboks getting the rugby championship, the Proteas getting the ICC World Cup. It was so exciting. It was so exciting. So you have managed to successfully reflect quite a few of the top stories. Thank you in this time frame that we've had as we obviously flip a script in 2025 and look ahead to 2026. Thank you, Busi, for your time at this hour. SABC News Digital News Senior Producer Busisiwe Radebe highlighted the fastest rising topics that captured public attention over the past year, and perhaps how this is also going to be carried over into some regards come 2026.